Imagine for a second that you are just, going about your normal Tuesday.
Right, just a regular day.
Yeah, you're grabbing a coffee, answering some emails, and then the phone rings, you pick it up, and suddenly, just like that, you are the owner of a house in sunny Sarasota, Florida.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an inheritance. And for a brief, fleeting moment, it sounds like, well, the absolute ultimate windfall.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you picture the Gulf Coast, the palm trees, the white sand beaches.
Exactly. Maybe you even start, doing the math on an early retirement.
Right.
But then, the reality hits. The profound grief of losing someone you love crashes headfirst into the incredibly complex, unforgiving logistics of real estate.
Yeah, because you didn't just inherit a memory.
No, you didn't. You suddenly acquired a massive, aging asset sitting there just baking in the intense Florida sun.
It is an incredibly jarring transition for people to experience. We have this culturally ingrained idea that inheriting a house is essentially like winning a localized lottery.
Right, like you just handed the keys to financial freedom.
Exactly. But the reality on the ground is far more clinical and demanding, really. Inheriting property is rarely a simple, neatly wrapped gift.
Yeah.
In most cases, it is the immediate, non-consensual acquisition of complex, highly regulated, and frequently depreciating asset.
And when that reality hits, people usually panic.
Oh, totally.
The logistical nightmare of a quote-unquote free house is overwhelming. And that's why we're digging into a really fascinating industry playbook today.
Yes, this is a great deep dive.
It's a survival guide of sorts titled Sell, Rent, or Keep. And it's published by a Sarasota real estate firm called Sell House Fast Cash.
Right.
It reveals the brutal math and the practical realities behind what actually happens when you inherit a house. And we are using Florida as our ultimate case study today because, well, its unique laws and intense climate really magnify all the underlying issues.
They really do, and it is crucial to approach this analytically, setting the emotion aside for a moment.
Yeah.
The guide outlines 3 distinct paths you can take with an inherited property. You can keep it, rent it, or sell it.
Just those 3.
Right. And making the wrong call on which path to take isn't just a minor inconvenience. It is a misstep that can actively and aggressively drain your own existing savings.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the most natural human instinct.
Keeping the house.
Yeah, keeping it. Let's say it's a classic Florida ranch home in a neighborhood like Gulfgate. The sentimental pull to hold on to it is massive.
Oh, of course. You probably spent holidays there. You have memories attached to the wall.
Exactly. But the guide points out a very cold truth. Nostalgia does not pay the property taxes.
No, it does not.
And I was reading the section on Florida taxes, and I have to admit, I was completely lost.
It's complicated.
Why does the tax bill suddenly quadruple if the physical house itself hasn't changed at all?
That is the tax time bomb, and it catches almost everyone off guard. It comes down to a specific Florida law regarding the homestead exemption. For those who aren't familiar, a homestead exemption essentially shields your primary residence from rapid, catastrophic property tax hikes.
Okay.
In Florida, they have a protection called the Save Our Homes Cap. It legally limits how much the assessed value of a primary residence can increase each year for tax purposes.
So it caps it.
Right. It caps it at a very low percentage, regardless of how crazy the housing market gets.
Okay, so if your parents bought the house 30 years ago, their tax rate was essentially frozen in a time capsule, protected by that cap.
Yes.
They might only be paying, say, $1,500 a year in property taxes, even if the house is now worth $500,000.
Precisely. But here is the mechanism that ruins the inheritance windfall.
Uh-oh.
That tax protection is tied to the individual owner, not the physical dirt and bricks.
Wait, really?
Yeah. The moment the original owner passes away, that legal protection evaporates. The cap resets. The county tax assessor looks at the property, strips away the decades of cap protection, and immediately reassesses the home at current present-day market rates.
So that $1,500 tax bill doesn't just go up a little bit.
Right.
It can instantly jump to $6,000 or $7,000 a year, literally overnight.
Exactly overnight.
You inherit the physical house, but you do not inherit the artificial tax rate.
You do not. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the financial shock doesn't stop with the county tax collector.
What else is there?
Well, we also have to look at the environmental mechanics of the Sarasota climate.
Ah, the weather.
It's a beautiful place to live, but the humidity is absolutely ruthless. The guide is very explicit about this. You cannot simply lock the doors, turn off the breaker, and walk away to figure things out.
Wait, why not? If no one is living there, why do I need to keep the utilities running?
Because a house is not a static box. It is basically an organism.
An organism.
Yeah, it requires constant metabolic energy just to exist in a state of stasis.
Right.
In Florida, the outdoor humidity often sits above 80% for months on end. If you turn off the HVAC system, the internal temperature and humidity skyrocket.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Within just a few weeks, the drywall acts like a giant sponge, absorbing all that moisture in the trapped, stagnant air. Mold will literally claim the walls, the carpets, and the cabinetry.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
So you are looking at mandatory holding costs just to prevent the asset from decaying.
Right.
You have to pay the newly reassessed property taxes, the astronomical coastal insurance premiums, the monthly landscaping and pool maintenance to avoid municipal fines, and a year-round electricity bill just to keep the air conditioning fighting off the humidity in an empty house.
That makes so much sense. I mean, keeping an inherited Florida home for sentimental reasons is exactly like someone giving you a free puppy.
That is a great way to put it.
Yeah, it sounds amazing at first. Free dog. Except you quickly realize this particular puppy requires a $6,000 a year specialized diet, a permanent climate-controlled habitat, and constant daily supervision just to stay alive.
That's exactly.
Suddenly, it's not free at all. You are paying a premium just to own it.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. Unless you, as the inheritor, are planning to pack up your current life, quit your job, and move into that Gulf Gate ranch house immediately.
Which most people aren't.
Right. Unless you do that, the property rapidly morphs from a valuable asset into a depreciating liability. The ongoing holding costs bleed your personal finances dry month after month.
So the tax bill and the mold threat make keeping the house a financial disaster. A desperate inheritor looking at those bills might think, okay, I'll just make the house pay for itself. I'll rent it out to snowbirds. I mean, Florida is packed with retirees and vacationers looking for winter rentals in places like Arlington Park or Palmer Ranch.
It is a huge market.
Doesn't that solve the problem? Renting it out seems like a lifeline.
On paper, it looks like a brilliant pivot.
Yeah.
But does it actually solve the problem, or does it just create a completely new set of liabilities? The guide makes a very stark distinction that many inheritors fundamentally misunderstand. Landlording is an active, demanding job.
Not passive income.
No, it is not a passive income stream where you just check your bank account once a month.
Yeah.
Annual rentals require a massive amount of operational infrastructure.
Right.
You have to aggressively vet tenants, navigate complex legal lease agreements, and inevitably handle the midnight plumbing emergencies.
Here's where it gets really interesting. If you live out of state, say you're up in Ohio or New York, you can't exactly drive over to fix a leaky pipe at 2 in the morning.
You really can't.
You are entirely dependent on hiring a local property management company. But reading through the breakdown of their fees, I was stunned. They took a massive bite out of the apple.
What's fascinating here is how the mechanics of property management are designed to insulate the owner from the work, but it comes at a steep premium.
Yeah.
Typically, a management company will charge a placement fee equal to 1 full month's rent just to find and sign a tenant.
1 full month.
Yes. Then they take roughly 10% of your gross rental income every single month.
Wow.
Furthermore, when something breaks, they call their preferred vendors, who often charge premium, and the management company might even add a surcharge on top of the repair bill.
So your profit margins, which looked so healthy on your initial spreadsheet, are suddenly sliced incredibly thin.
Incredibly thin.
And then there is the insurance trap. The guide brings up this terrifying detail about the roof. It mentions a 15-year roof rule.
Ah, yes.
Why 15 years? I mean, a good roof should last way longer than that, shouldn't it?
In a temperate climate, perhaps? But Florida's insurance market is in historic crisis.
Oh, right.
It's not just about a few missing asphalt shingles. Florida's building codes and insurance risk models changed drastically after a string of catastrophic hurricanes.
Makes sense.
The materials bake in the intense UV index and degrade faster in the salt air. But more importantly, insurance companies run algorithmic risk models. The moment a roof hits year 15, their actuaries determine that the risk of a total catastrophic failure during a tropical storm is simply too high.
So what do?
Insurance companies will aggressively drop your policy or refuse to renew it unless you tear off the old roof and install a brand new one to the latest hurricane codes.
Wait, drop it entirely?
Completely.
And a mandatory roof replacement is what, $20,000 to $30,000?
Easily. And that single, localized, geography-dictated expense can instantly wipe out an entire decade of your rental profits.
That is brutal.
You might think you're generating a nice little positive cash flow from your tenants, but you are actually taking on all the immense risk of running a small business while the weather and the insurance algorithms dictate your massive capital expenditures.
So renting isn't passive income at all. It's running a highly leveraged small business.
Exactly.
If you aren't ready to become the CEO of a Sarasota rental startup, the guide is pretty blunt about this. Abandon the idea immediately. Which brings us to the third path. Renting is a second job. Keeping it empty is a money pit. So selling the property seems like the only rational escape hatch.
Statistically, it is the pragmatic exit. The guide notes that 85% of inherited property owners ultimately choose to sell.
85%, that's huge.
It is the most rational mechanism to equitably divide an asset among multiple siblings. And crucially, it is the absolute only way to permanently stop the bleeding of those relentless monthly holding costs.
But wait, let's talk about the taxes on selling, because this is where I got really skeptical reading the guide.
Okay.
Everyone assumes if you sell a valuable house, the IRS is going to swoop in and take a massive chunk of the profit.
Right.
But the guide talks about a concept called the step-up in basis. And the way they explain it, it sounds like the IRS just lets you walk away with hundreds of thousands of dollars completely tax-free.
It does sound like magic, doesn't it?
It sounds like a loophole that shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
What is the catch here?
There actually isn't a catch in the traditional sense. It is a foundational piece of U.S. tax code regarding estates.
Really?
Yes. And it is perhaps the most important financial mechanic for any inheritor to grasp. According to the IRS, you do not inherit the property at the original purchase price your parents paid decades ago.
Okay.
You inherit it at its current fair market value on the exact day they passed away.
So what does this all mean? Let's walk through the math on that so I can really wrap my head around it.
Sure.
Say your parents bought that Sarasota house back in 1980 for $50,000.
Okay.
Over the decades, the market explodes, and today it's worth $500,000.
A very realistic scenario.
If your parents had sold it themselves right before they passed, they would owe massive capital gains taxes on that $450,000 of profit they made over the years, right?
Correct. But because you inherited it, your basis, which is your starting value in the eyes of the IRS, steps up to that modern $500,000 mark.
Wow.
The decades of appreciation essentially vanish from the tax ledger. If you turn around and sell the house quickly for $500,000, your profit on paper is mathematically zero.
So no taxes.
Therefore, you owe virtually zero capital gains tax.
That is an incredibly powerful mechanism for preserving generational wealth.
It truly is.
But, just because the IRS gives you a break doesn't mean the actual physical process of selling the house is easy.
No, absolutely not. The legal tax advantage does absolutely nothing to alleviate the immense physical and emotional friction of a traditional retail sale.
And that friction sounds exhausting. Trying to sell a dated, inherited home on the retail market is like being forced to renovate a museum before you're allowed to sell the exhibits.
That's a very apt comparison.
You are being asked to sink massive amounts of capital into an asset you were desperately trying to get rid of.
Retail buyers in a market like Sarasota are often looking for their dream retirement beach house.
Right.
They demand spotless, modern, turnkey properties. They're not looking to inherit your family's deferred maintenance.
Right. You have to fly down there, rent a dumpster, and clear out 40 years of accumulated belongings.
Yes.
Every old photo album, every piece of heavy, outdated furniture. Then you look at the house itself. You've got a closed-off kitchen from 1992. You've got worn pink carpets.
Oh, yeah.
Retail buyers will walk through that house and nickel and dime you over a cracked driveway paver, an old water heater, or a broken lanai screen.
The friction is immense. You are dealing with expensive staging costs, trying to hire reliable contractors from out of state to fix the drywall, agreeing to pay 6% in real estate agent commissions,
Ouch.
and enduring the agonizing process of inspection contingencies where the buyer can back out at the last second.
All while the emotional toll of sorting through your parents' entire life is just weighing on you.
Exactly.
Now, the playbook we're looking at comes from a cash buying firm, so naturally, their proposed solution is to bypass all this friction by buying the house as is for cash.
Right.
Now, whether that's the right financial move depends entirely on the inheritor situation, but it's fascinating to see exactly how their business model profits off of this specific retail nightmare.
It is an important market mechanism to analyze objectively. The entire cash buyer model is built on monetizing that friction.
Okay.
They offer a fundamentally different product than a retail buyer. They purchase the property entirely as is.
Literally exactly as it sits.
Yeah,
You don't taint the walls, you don't clear out the boxes in the garage, you don't fix the torn lanai screen, you just hand over the keys.
right.
The trade-off, obviously, is that a cash buyer is an investor looking to secure a profit margin, so their offer is going to be calibrated differently than a retail buyer who has, like, emotionally fallen in love with the breakfast nook.
It is a calculated exchange.
You are sacrificing the absolute maximum potential retail price in exchange for definitive stress-free speed and the total elimination of agent commissions and repair costs.
Exactly. It is a purely pragmatic exit strategy. It converts a complex, degrading physical liability back into liquid capital as efficiently as possible, stopping the holding costs dead in their tracks.
Okay, so let's say I'm sold. I've done the math. The holding costs are terrifying. Renting is a second job I don't want, and I don't want to fix the roof.
Sounds reasonable.
I just want to unload this thing. I find a cash buyer. We agree on a price. I'm ready to take the cash and sign the paper. Problem solved, right?
Not so fast.
Wait, really?
Even if you have a buyer lined up and the cash is sitting in escrow, you are going to hit an invisible legal wall.
An invisible wall.
Unless the property was preemptively placed into a legal trust before the owner died, you cannot just sign the deed over.
What?
You cannot sell it, you cannot rent it,
Yeah.
you cannot even legally transfer the title to your own name without explicit, documented court approval.
Oh, no.
You are heading straight into the Sarasota probate system.
Probate. I hear that word thrown around all the time. But what is the court actually doing? Why does the government need to be involved if the will clearly says the house goes to me?
This raises an important question, and it highlights the vital legal difference between having the rightful claim to an asset and having the legal authority to liquidate it.
Okay.
The court doesn't just take your word for it. Probate is the formal legal process where the court validates the authenticity of the deceased's will, identifies and pays off any outstanding creditors or secret debts,
Right.
ensures no estranged relatives have a valid claim, and only then authorizes the transfer of assets.
So they double check everything.
Yes, the court has to ensure all the deceased's final obligations are settled before you get your windfall.
And the timelines the guide lays out for this process are incredibly sobering. A standard formal administration in Sarasota County takes anywhere from 6 to 12 months, up to an entire year.
There is a faster route mentioned called summary administration, which can conclude in just a few weeks.
Well, that sounds better.
But the legal criteria are incredibly strict. It is only available for small estates valued under $75,000, or if the deceased passed away more than 2 years ago.
Oh.
Given the current value of a standard Sarasota home, which easily exceeds that $75,000 threshold, you are almost certainly locked into the formal, months-long process.
Wow. But wait, if the court puts your ability to sell on hold for up to a year, but the county still demands property taxes and the insurance company still demands premiums, aren't you just doomed?
It is a terrible bind.
How are you supposed to stop the financial bleeding without defaulting? You can't sell the house to get the money to pay the bills on the house.
That is the ultimate trap of the holding costs. The financial clock is ticking mercilessly, but the legal system is moving at its own slow, bureaucratic pace.
Unbelievable.
This is where the specific type of buyer you engage becomes incredibly critical to your survival strategy. Traditional retail buyers, people who need to secure a standard 30-year mortgage to move their family into the house before the school year starts, will almost always run away from a property stuck in a probate delay.
Yeah, they need a place to live.
Right, they simply cannot wait an undefined number of months for a judge to sign a piece of paper so they can close.
But cash buying firms operate differently under these conditions, don't they?
They do.
The guide explains that firms like Sell House Fast Cash have the legal infrastructure to work directly alongside the estate's probate attorneys.
Yes. Because they are investors, not owner-occupants, their timeline is flexible. You, as the inheritor, can actually sign a binding purchase agreement while the probate process is still ongoing.
Oh, I see.
Now, the final closing and the transfer of funds can't legally happen until the judge gives the official green light to the personal representative of the estate.
Right.
But the cash buyer is willing to just wait it out. They lock in the agreement, the price is set, and they execute the transaction the exact moment the court signs the final paperwork.
That makes a lot of sense. It removes the terrifying uncertainty.
Exactly.
When you are bleeding cash every single month on taxes and utilities, having a guaranteed exit locked in, even if the actual payout is months away, allows the estate to plan its finances.
Yes, you can finally breathe.
You don't have to worry about the volatile variable of a retail buyer getting spooked by an inspection and pulling out at the last second, leaving you back at square one while the bills pile up.
It is entirely about mitigating risk in an already unstable situation.
So, to pull all of these threads together, the journey we've been on today proves that inheriting a house seems like a magical windfall, but it's actually a logistical minefield.
A total minefield.
We've looked at the illusion of keeping it, where sentimentality blinds you to the crushing reality of resetting tax caps and Florida's relentless mold-producing humidity.
Right.
We've explored the mirage of renting, revealing that landlording out of state is just an underpaid, high-stress second job where you are entirely at the mercy of insurance algorithms and a 15-year roof rule.
We examine the mechanics of the step-up in basis, which is a powerful IRS tax advantage that points most rational actors towards selling.
Yeah.
And finally, we navigated the invisible, frustrating legal wall of the Sarasota probate courts, highlighting the massive tension between your right to inherit an asset and your legal authority to actually sell it.
This whole deep dive is basically a masterclass in behavioral economics.
It really is.
It's about learning how to separate your deeply held, entirely valid emotional attachments to a family home from the brutal, pragmatic financial realities of managing a depreciating physical asset.
That is the core lesson. And as we conclude, I want to leave you with a concept that extends far beyond the physical dirt and drywall of real estate.
Okay, let's hear it.
Today, we've seen how a physical house can become a sudden, localized liability strictly because of its geography, the coastal weather, and local county tax laws.
Right.
The physical probate system is complex, slow, and demands immense resources. But look at how our modern lives are changing. We are all currently acquiring massive, sprawling digital footprints.
Oh, wow. I see where you're going with this.
Think about it. Cryptocurrencies, expansive online asset portfolios, digital storefronts, years of accumulated cloud storage data.
Yeah.
If the physical probate system struggles this much to transfer a simple 3-bedroom house in Florida, what does this mean for the next generation of inheritors?
That is a scary thought.
Are we going to face an era of digital probate? How do you manage the ongoing holding costs of cloud servers or secure legal access to decentralized digital wallets when someone passes away unexpectedly?
Wow.
Do we need to build an entirely new kind of legal infrastructure for the invisible assets we are leaving behind in the cloud? It is a massive legal frontier, and right now we are entirely unprepared for it.
That is an incredibly wild thought. You finally solved the problem of the aging roof on the inherited house, but you open up a whole new, uncharted universe of digital estate planning. It really makes you rethink what ownership even means in the modern era. Well, that wraps up our analysis for today. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden, brutal realities of inheritance. We hope the next time your phone rings, you're a little more prepared for the logistical puzzle waiting on the other end of the line. Keep questioning the world around you, and we'll catch you next time.